In this episode of Dentside Depot, we are going to go over the top 10 Dentside Ford trucks ever sold on the Bring a Trailer auction website. So stay tuned as we look at the very best trucks that have been sold all time on this particular auction, 1 through 10 in order. Let's see what we come up with. Number one on our list today is a 1978 Ford F-150 Ranger short bed 4x4 that sold in December of last year for $45,000. Now, I really love this truck. It looks really spectacular. Now, a few things before I start going into this particular truck. Just to make you aware, in order to have made our top 10 list, the truck must have actually sold on Bring a Trailer. So if the bid went on and it didn't sell, then it doesn't make the top 10. Another thing I'm going to give away really quick is that no two-wheel drive trucks made the list because they just don't demand top dollar, and therefore they're all going to be four-wheel drive trucks. And that brings us to this F-150 4x4 that is immaculately restored. I think it was the nicest F-150 that was sold on Bring a Trailer lifetime. Interestingly, it was originally Jade Glow Green, which was a 1978 only color, but they repainted it blue. Now, I love the blue, so I didn't knock the truck for that, but I personally would have repainted it that Jade Glow Green because that's a special order color in 78 and a one-year only color. I also love the poverty wheels on this particular truck, which gives it a really good look. The interior looks really nice on this truck, and just overall, they did a really super job on it. A perfect frame-off restoration, and that's why it made number 10 on our list of best Dentsides ever sold on Bring a Trailer. And that brings us to number 9 on our list, which is a 1979 F350 Ranger Lariat Camper Special 4x4 truck. Now, for those that are not aware, in 1979, Ford offered the F350 4x4 for the first time. That is why this truck sold for $72,000 in January of 2023, because for the Dentsides, this was a one-year only truck. Of course, the OBS trucks would be offered with an F350 4x4 every single year, but when you're talking about a Dentside, this is the King Kong and it's a one-year only. For this particular truck, it is a Lariat with Camper Special. It also has been swapped to a 429, and that's why it commanded top dollars. Also because it has a really great looking black paint job on it. If you're looking for an investor grade truck, being a 73 through 79 Ford, this would definitely be the truck that you would want to look to get into. And that brings us to number 8 on our top 10 list, which is a 1977 F250 Custom 4x4 that has been 460 swapped. Now, this particular truck is very special because it is the split year, but it is the latter half of the split year. So for those that don't know, in 1977, you could get a HighBoy or a Lowboy in the same model year with the same front grille. This particular truck is a very early 77 Lowboy build, so it has a married transfer case, which also makes it easy to 460 swap. This truck sold for $52,000 in November of 2024 and was built by Devastator Racing. The paint work on this truck is absolutely magnificent. It has a red interior, which also looks really good. The drivetrain was completely gone through, a full frame off. People who really love the look of the older trucks with the round headlights and the older style grille, well, this truck's great because you get the more modernized Lowboy suspension and the different frame. So this particular truck is very desirable for those reasons, and that's why it sold for the top dollar, being $52,000. Number 7 on our list today is a 1979 F250 Crew Cab, our first crew cab to make the list. This one sold for $60,000 in February of 2024. It's been 460 swapped and has a beautiful silver paint job with black poverty wheels and a black interior. So this is a very desirable color combination, a very desirable truck, and a very desirable engine swap in it being a 460 because the 460 was not available with any of the 4x4 trucks throughout the 1970s. The crew cabs were very rare in 1979. They built slightly more than 1,800 of them. So this is a very desirable truck right there with the F350 trucks that you would definitely want to have. This truck is immaculately restored, and I would definitely consider this truck to be an investment grade truck that you can also take out on the weekends and enjoy from time to time and not have to worry about it too much. Next up, we have a 77 F250 HighBoy 4x4, the first true HighBoy to make our list today. And you may be thinking, well, wait a second, this auction has not yet concluded. Well, as I was writing the script for this particular video, this truck showed up for auction on the website, and I said, you know what? I don't care. I'm breaking my own rule because I have to include this truck on the list because I think it's so outstanding. It's already at $60,000 with 5 days left to go. Now, this truck is not a stock rebuild or a stock restoration. This truck is what is known as a resto mod. Resto mod makes improvements to the stock truck and makes it look better, and that's exactly what this truck is. I love the paint combination that they went with. I like to call it Robin's Egg Blue over white. And I love the Detroit steel wheels, which I have on the truck sitting behind me. It's one of my favorite combinations, and the truck is just immaculately restored from top to bottom and all around, and it's just absolutely tremendous looking, and it's going to sell for, I would say, even more than $60,000 once the hammer falls here in a few days. Looking at the interior truck, again, we can see resto mod touches with a custom dash, tape player, shifter. The seat looks really cool. One thing that they did that I really like is they did not put carpet down on the floor. They just left it bare and painted, and I really like that. I like to have a bare floor or a vinyl floor because the carpet really soaks up water over time. Of course, this truck's probably not going to sit outside, but regardless, I like that particular look. Some people may not, but I personally do. It's a truck, it's utilitarian, and I really think that looks really good on one of these classic trucks. But you can just see the craftsmanship here in this truck is fantastic, and it's definitely given me some ideas of some things that I myself can do on restorations in the future, which just look really, really great. And this truck just really stuck out to me as just being one of the top trucks here on Bring a Trailer all time. And that brings us to number 5 on our list, a 1979 F350 custom 4x4 Supercab truck that has also been 460 swapped. And I know what you're probably thinking, well, wait a second, is that truck sitting behind you right now? And the answer actually is yes and no. It's the same exact truck with the same exact color combination, also an F350 Supercab. Mine is actually a Ranger, and it's been Cummins swapped instead of being 460 swapped. So it's close to the same truck, but not the exact same truck. But this truck is absolutely fantastic, and I wish that I knew it was only going to sell for $55,000 when the auction started, because I probably would have been prepared to bid on it at that point, because there is absolutely no way you could ever build this truck for $55,000. The paintwork looks great. The interior looks great on this truck. The 466 and the rest of the powertrain alone probably cost well over $20,000. Just to purchase, probably even more than that, to be honest. And everything on this truck is right. This is a true investor grade Dentside Ford truck. There is no doubt in my mind that in the next few years, this truck will be worth 6 figures. And I know you may be thinking that's crazy. It just sold for $55,000. Well, I would say once the market is done going down, as I predicted in my last video, and it starts to go back up again, this is going to be the particular vehicle that is going to be worth more and more money as these trucks become impossible to find as restorations. This truck is absolutely tremendous. Obviously, I love them because I have the same thing sitting behind me, but this is a true investor grade truck, and whoever did the restoration on this particular one obviously did a really, really nice job on it. And that brings us to number 4 on our list, another true HighBoy truck, and this one is a 76 F250 Ranger HighBoy, but the story here is this one has been 428 Cobra Jet swapped, which is a huge badge of honor for anyone driving a HighBoy Ford truck to have the top dog engine. You could not get this engine from the factory in one of these trucks. In fact, the biggest you could go in a 4x4 HighBoy would have been a 360. So this is a significant power bump for one of these trucks, and that's the obvious reason why this truck sold for so much money. It appears to be the original paint on this truck, but that was the right decision because clearly it buffed out perfectly, and I would never, ever even consider repainting this truck. The original red paint looks tremendous, along with the factory poverty white wheels, and to be able to open up the hood and see that 428 jet underneath there is just fantastic. Whoever got this truck got something really, really cool, because it's something that you can drive and you can get some little chips and dings on every here and there, and you don't have to worry about it. You can go do some burnouts. You can drive down some country roads and you don't have to worry about it, and you got yourself a really cool truck. So this one definitely sold for top dollar for a truck that hasn't been completely repainted or repainted at all, I should say. but the truck itself is so original and nice that I had to include it. And I just think it's one of the coolest Dentsides that's ever sold on Bring a Trailer for sure. And that brings us to number 3 on our list, and this is the highest selling Ford truck 73 to 79 on Bring a Trailer in history. Again, we have another regular cab F350 Ranger. I don't believe this one was a Lariat from the factory, but they did put Lariat badging on it. And it sold for $122,000 in May of 2023. And the reason it sold for that much money is because the paint job probably cost $60,000, $70,000 to do. Painted all around, top and bottom, nut and bolt, complete frame off, no expenses spared on this particular truck. I personally do not like the color combination, and I do not like the lower rocker moldings, and I don't like the bumpers that they used, or the rear bumper, I should say. But regardless, you can't ignore the quality of the craftsmanship or really the paintwork, I should say specifically, in this particular truck, because it was obviously immaculately restored. I don't know if $122,000 would be realized today if it was put back up for auction again. My guess would be probably not. But when we look at the truck as a whole, as far as the quality of the restoration, there's no doubt that this truck is a top 3. And although I personally don't like the color combinations, I had to put it in the top 3 because it really is just one of the highest quality restorations of any Dentside that we've seen on Bring a Trailer over the lifetime of that particular auction website. And that brings us to number 2 on our list, which is a 514 powered 78 F250 Ranger crew cab. This is our second crew cab on the list, making the second position overall. It sold for $63,000 in April of 2021, and I can guarantee you that number would probably double today if it was to be relisted. So I took that into consideration. Although this truck sold for significantly less than the last truck, this was a different time period as far as when sales were happening, and there's no doubt in my mind that this truck would eclipse 6 figures today for sure. This particular truck appears to be immaculately restored. Of course, again, we have a crew cab, which in itself is already rare. Being 4x4 is what you want. This one is the top dog, being an XLT, so it has the trim on it. It is the correct color combination, or at least the color combination that you want to see, which is black or a desirable color like that. It has an awesome engine swap in it, which is what everyone wants, a really nice lift kit. This is the kind of truck that people desire the most. It is the King Kong of Dentside Ford trucks. It's what everyone is looking to get when you're talking about a 73 through 79 Ford. I would personally love to have this particular truck in my collection. There'd probably be a few minor things that I would change. It looks like the engine bay needs to be cleaned up just a little bit. But overall, you can't ignore how immaculate this truck is. Just really, really well done. And I'm sure someone has been enjoying this truck over the last few years since they made the purchase. Or maybe they sold it for a lot more than what they bought it for. I don't know. But regardless, this is definitely number 2 on the Bring a Trailer Top 10 list. And that brings us to number 1 on our Bring a Trailer Top 10 list, another 79 F350 Supercab 4x4 sold for $97,500 in February of 2021. And I can tell you, I personally know that this truck was restored to the very highest level. Again, remember the time period. If this truck was relisted again for auction today, I would be willing to bet that it would surge well into the 6 figures and keep on going with absolute no problem. This particular truck is restored to the highest standard with all of the best parts and all of the best options that you would want to see. Although it is not a factory Lariat truck, it has all of the Lariat equipment on it. It has the correct Marshall fog lights on the front with the cactus smasher. It has all the best parts that you could possibly want. And I personally know the gentleman that restored this truck put all of the best stuff on it, and that is clearly why this truck sold for so much money. I personally hate the wheels that are on it in these particular pictures, but that's a very easy change. But regardless, this truck, in my opinion, is one of the very best Dentside Ford trucks that has ever been built in human history. I personally don't like red paint, but the paintwork is obviously outstanding. You know, I personally like the blue, but this truck absolutely stands out And there's no doubt that this particular truck is a top investor grade Dentside Ford pickup truck that anyone would be thrilled to have in their particular collection. I know I have a few of them and I love them. So with that being said, I hope you enjoyed this episode of Dentside Depot as we went over our top 10 all-time Dentside Ford truck auctions in history, ending with number one right here, the 79 F350 Supercab, my favorite Dentside Ford truck ever built and probably the nicest one ever assembled in human history. If you enjoyed this episode of Dentside Depot, remember to like and subscribe and keep restoring those classic trucks.